You know, there's a certain kind of person who gets drunk on just a little bit of power. I'm talking a clipboard and a title. That's all it takes. And I'd met my share, but I never thought I'd see one in the flesh, standing at the end of my own driveway, telling me I couldn't go home. This road is now the private property of Gilded Summit Estates. Mr. Sullivan, she said, her voice just chilly. Access is for members only. I'm standing there, my boots covered in orchard mud, just staring. I'm Sully, Jack Sullivan. I spent 25 years in mine rescue and combat engineering. I've been in holes so deep the air gets thick. All I ever wanted was to retire on the 100 acres my grandpa left me, up here in the quiet hills of Central Oregon. And this woman, Brenda Funderbeek, president of the brand new HOA that had popped up like a fungus on the next ridge over, was telling me I was trespassing. See, my land, it's beautiful. Old apple orchard, deep timber. But it's landlocked. For 70 years, the only way in or out has been Old Miller Road, a dirt and gravel track that cuts across a corner of what used to be Old Man Miller's pasture. Now, it was the Gilded Summit Estates, a collection of beige McMansions with 3-car garages and lawns that looked fake. For a year, we coexisted. I'd wave at them from my old Ford, they'd look away. Then Brenda got elected. Her first act was to send me a certified letter. It said Old Miller Road was now a private community amenity, and if I wanted to keep using it, I'd have to join the HOA and pay $300 a month. I walked right over to her house, letter in hand. She met me on the porch holding a latte, looking like she'd never seen dirt before. Brenda, I said, this is, well, it's extortion. My deed guarantees access. This road's been used for 70 years. She gave me this pink smile. Just empty. The board has voted, Sully. Community standards. You fail to pay. You'll lose your access. I just looked at her. Then I guess I'll see you in court. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought lawyers would send letters. I was wrong. 2 days later, I woke up to the sound of a cement truck. I walked down to the property line. It wasn't just a chain. It wasn't a flimsy cattle gate. They were building a wall, stone pillars 10 feet high. A massive black wrought iron gate, the kind you see at a billionaire's mansion. And a keypad. You like it? Brenda was there, arms crossed, wearing spotless white sneakers. It really enhances the community's prestige. I couldn't speak. She was caging me. On my own land, it got worse. The next day, she brought in a backhoe. I watched from my fence line as they dug a trench right in front of the gate. A moat, a 5-foot deep, 10-foot wide moat. It wasn't just a blockade. It was spite. I called the sheriff. Deputy Croy came out. He was a good guy. He looked at the gate, looked at the trench, and just sighed. He rubbed the back of his neck. Sully, he said, I hate this. I truly do, but technically, this stretch is on their parcel. You've got an easement. But easement law is messy. It's a civil matter. It could take you years and 50 grand in court to prove it. Years I was trapped. For the first few weeks I managed. I had an old ATV, and I found an old logging trail through the national forest that skirted their land. It was rough. It added an hour to any trip for groceries for my horses. I had to call in favors. I had an old service buddy fly his small helicopter in, just to lower pallets of feed and hay into my pasture. Oh, Brenda lost her mind. She filed complaints with the FAA, the sheriff, the county. Unauthorized aerial disturbances. The sheriff just threw him in the trash, but she was furious. She'd lost control, and it made her vicious. She started sending me certified letters. Fines, for my grass being too long. On my own 100 acres, which she could see from her window with binoculars. Fines for industrial noise, which was just me. Splitting firewood. I was sitting on my porch one night, just boiling. Staring at that gate gleaming in the moonlight. Staring at that ditch. And I remembered my training. All those years in the dark, she wanted to build a wall. Fine, she wanted to dig down. Okay, I could work with that. I'd go deeper. I made some calls. 8 and 11. Call before you dig. The map came back clean. Just dirt. Then I called 2 guys I'd trusted my life with. Smitty and Torch, I told them the situation. There was this long silence on the phone. Then Smitty just laughed. Sully, are you saying some HOA lady built a moat? That's what I'm saying. Hell, Torch chimed in. We're in. I set up my cameras. A game cam in a pine tree aimed at the gate. My phone mounted on my dashboard. I waited. 15 a.m. Like clockwork. Brenda's white Lexus SUV glides to a stop. She gets out, clipboard in hand, to inspect her fortress. I turned the key in my Ford. I put it in drive and aimed my headlights into the darkness of the tunnel. The timbers held. The truck rumbled through, the engine echoing in the narrow space. It was maybe 100 feet. 100 feet of sweat and rage, and then I saw daylight. My truck, covered in mud, emerged from the ground, right onto the county road, smooth as silk. I'd bypassed the gate, the trench, everything. I parked. Killed the engine, Brenda. She just froze. The clipboard, it just slipped out of her hand. Her mouth just hung open. She looked at the gate. It was locked. She looked at the trench. It was empty. She looked at me. I gave her a little two-finger wave from the steering wheel. Then I put the truck in gear and drove to town to get a coffee. By noon, the video was online. I didn't just post my footage. I edited in the ambulance dispatch audio. I titled it, Gilded Summit HOA Blocks Ambulance. So I dug my way out. It exploded. It wasn't just the county page. It was Portland. It was Seattle. It was national. People were calling her a menace, a monster. She didn't just lose face, she lost her mind. 2 days later, the sheriff was back. This time, he was serving me. The HOA was suing me. Me for destruction of community infrastructure and illegal excavation. She was claiming my tunnel had destabilized her precious gate. I just laughed. I handed the papers to my lawyer, Sarah. She's not the kind of lawyer who advertises on TV. She's the kind who reads fine print and smiles. "Oh, Sully," she said, reading the suit. "This is a gift." She filed our countersuit. Harassment, reckless endangerment, obstruction of property access, and then the miracle happened. One of her own board members, a quiet guy I'd seen walking his dog, he'd had enough. He'd seen the ambulance video, and he leaked the internal HOA emails. He sent them right to Sarah, and there it was. The smoking gun. An email from Brenda to the rest of the board. It said, "He's stubborn, but he's not stupid. If we cut him off completely, he'll be trapped. He'll pay anything to get his access back. This is how we fund the new infinity pool." It wasn't just a dispute. It wasn't just community standards. It was extortion. In writing. The courtroom. Oh, it was a slaughter. Brenda's lawyer tried to paint me as some unhinged hillbilly, digging dangerous holes. Then Sarah put up the ambulance report. Then she put up the testimony from the EMT, who said under oath, that woman's ditch nearly cost that child his life. And then she put up the email. The judge, an older woman who looked like she'd been ranching her whole life. She read the email. She took off her glasses. She just stared at Brenda. "Mrs. Vanderbeek," she said, her voice quiet but dangerous. "Did you write this? It was taken out of context. Did you, or did you not, write that you intended to trap Mr. Sullivan to fund a pool?" Brenda just crumbled. She went silent. The judge's gavel came down so hard, I think it cracked the wood. "This is the most appalling abuse of power I have ever seen in this courtroom," she said. We won. We won everything. The court affirmed my permanent, unrestricted, undeniable right-of-way. The HOA was ordered to remove the gate and fill the trench at their own expense. The HOA was fined $250,000 in punitive damages and ordered to pay every cent of my legal fees and the final part. The judge looked right at Brenda. "And Mrs. Vanderbeek, you are personally fined $10,000 for malice and abuse of authority, and you are hereby removed from your position on the board, effective immediately." I walked out of that courtroom, and I swear the air was sweeter. The next day, the crew came. The same crew that built the gate. This time, they had cutting torches. It was a party. I brought my grill down. My neighbors, even some of the Gilded Summit people, and came out. They were apologetic. They brought potato salad. We all sat there. We grilled burgers, and we watched them cut that multi-$1,000 gate into scrap iron. We cheered when the bulldozer pushed the first load of dirt back into her stupid moat. Brenda, she sold her house a month later, just gone. And the tunnel, well, it's still there. The county inspector actually came out, said it was built to code, better than code, so I cleaned it up. I reinforced it, and I put a sign up. A real nice professional routed wood sign. Right at the entrance, it just says Brenda's Bypass, you know. People talk about rules, they talk about community. But a community, it's not a set of rules designed to punish people. It's just people helping each other, not trapping each other. Brenda forgot that. She thought her little bit of power made her a queen, but in the end, all she did was remind the rest of us that you never let a bully wall you in, so I gotta ask, what would you have done? Would you have sued? Would you have moved? Or would you have started digging? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you've ever had to fight back against a Brenda in your own life, I want to hear that story too.